And we are live. We're back. Welcome to 101 Small Business Mastermind. And we have with us in his bunker far, far away. Say good morning, Dick.
Good morning, Dick.
And in his not so far, far away bunker, say good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Dick. Good morning.
Well, there you go. Now, there, boy. And oh, hey guys, we got to remember to turn our phones off, right? I forgot to tell you that. We're out of practice. So there. Okay. Up on the deck here, we've been off the air for 4 weeks for various reasons, some good, some not so good, but we're back. That's a good thing. And so the first thing I want to share, when you're going to do a website, sometimes it's good to look at what the big boys do, Apple and the like. And I purchased some really nice themes that I have now converted Frank and Dick over to. So I want to share. Let's take a look at that briefly. I want to share. We're going to go over here briefly and get over onto this, but I want to share. Do we have your website up, Frank? Are you seeing that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let me just make sure that, whoops. Yes, well, that was weird. Okay, so, and I've got Dick's over here as well. They look slightly different, but very close to the same. And but this is a template called Parallax 1. What I liked about this is that these pictures here in the background, and I think it's true with Dick's, I think we have different ones for Dick in here, they'll randomize themselves. Each time you come in, there should be a different one. There's a different one like that. So it does change dynamically the look of the site, kind of nifty. And then, of course, you have all your social media right here. But what's nice, this is called a kind of like a one-page website in a way. This particular template is an overview of your entire company. So at one glance, a visitor can see what you're all about. In this case, here's Frank's philosophy about what he's doing. In this case for Dick, Dick's got 6 different versions up here, and we've got little pictured icons or pictures instead of the canned icons that we can choose from here, and talks about your journey. In Frank's case and in Dick's case, we talk about his history here of who he is. And then as we move on down, the team, which is nice about this, you got these little window screen things that come over and tell who you're looking at. And then, and in Dick's case, same thing. And then happy customers. Now this is really important because you might remember, the listeners might remember, Frank's got his talks in here, various talks that he gives. And this will take you right over to his podcast. Now Frank doesn't have any testimonials in there, but on the purchasing equation, people buy with emotion backed up by logic, and on a website, happy customers are the logic part of the buy. They drive a little bit of emotion too, but okay, I hear all the emotion. I want this product, but is it really good? What do other people say, and what do they think? And this comes out in spades here on this one-page website type approach. And then in Dick's case, you can zip right over in the small business, and then down here, latest news. And when Frank will be doing those 2 down here, latest news. We've got to get that going for you. But every blog post we make ends up down here that people can read. And in Dick's case, we're working on fixing these pictures too, and things that we discovered about the particular template. But this is really nice. Now, when you come off the main page, all the pages look very similar, super clean business-wise, and you have your sidebar here that you can program into anything you want. So it makes it super clean, super nice. Let's go over here to Frank's philosophy and see that secondary page. And you can see how nice that looks. Super clean. You guys have any comments on your own website?
Well, I'll jump in because just recently converted with you, Peter, and I didn't quite understand what it was we were doing till after we did it, and I was really very pleased with the end result. it really sets up the rest of my web page, I think, website rather, very nicely. And it's very clean, it's professional looking.
Mhm.
If I could ever get the hang of Photoshop, I'll fix those other things. Yeah, I could have a mental block with that for some reason, but everything else is great. I've did a post about small business needs, and I've got a couple other things to do, and I'm putting my schedule on, and also, so I really liked it a lot. I think it's professional. I think it sets up the rest of my website very nicely.
Yeah, Frank, how you feeling about it?
Oh yeah, again, it's very similar to Dick. What I like about it is how clean it looks. It
Mhm.
looks clean. It's not busy. There's a lot of, in my case, white space, which I like. To me, the website is, and again, I always take a different view. I don't care about SEO because I'll never be in the first page of Google, and that's not important to me. But I want when people hear about who I am or hear about me, they can go in because obviously my name is my .com, and they'll find me. Now, again, it's not because of SEO; it's because they keyed in my name, and I tell them my story. I
Mhm.
tell them enough that hopefully they'll say, let me learn more about what this guy's about, or I know what this guy's about. I don't want to know any more about him. That's fine. They filter themselves out before I get involved, and I think that is the power of this Parallax One template. It is extremely clean and easy to navigate, which is what I like.
Yeah, I like the theme as well. A little restrictive on what you can do, but that's cool. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is the next wave in social media. Now, we have all been on Facebook. You actually start to see a lot more videos on Facebook because people like to watch videos. And so Facebook and other social media now are trying to almost look like YouTube, where it's all video. And so the planning of next year, you ought to be thinking if you're going to use social media, we ought to be doing small videos to put up there for people to watch. I think that's the new craze, and it makes sense. People like to watch; they don't like to read, and so video is going to play a huge role in social media. What do you guys think about that?
Well, yeah. Again, you've been talking about this for a while. Yeah, people rather watch than I think watch first, hear second, and read third is my
Yeah,
impression.
yeah, I can believe
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But as a strategy play, we've always done blogs, off-site blogs on Blogger. But I think we need to be incorporating more video on those blogs than before. So, Dick, start thinking about what videos we need to put out for Legal Shield, or
Right.
use the ones we got, but
Yeah.
use them on the social media. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. Go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead, Dick.
No, I was just going to say, when we talk later about the exposures, the amount of exposures you need nowadays to get the client's attention, I think, video is a great way of starting it off and finishing it off. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's just making sure you got the right videos and you're either getting to the right people. But, yeah, absolutely.
One of the things we haven't really planned for is the whole thing of you know making videos for our social media. We really haven't planned for that yet. And I don't think we didn't sit back and say, okay, we're going to do this one this month, this topic next month, that kind of stuff. But I think all three of us have to do that. And I think, Frank, your talks that you have over on your site down here would be the obvious ones that we ought to make into short videos and put
Uh-huh.
up on
Yep,
your social media channels.
I
Okay.
agree. Totally
Yeah.
agree.
So
Absolutely.
so we need to put that in our thinking caps about in our planning in particular. And I'll remind us what Benjamin Franklin always said. To fail to plan is to plan to fail. So we've got to put that in our thinking. Next thing up, which leads, well, actually, I want to skip over one. There's a really neat website on Engadget. Here's Engadget, but there's a show called What You Might Have Missed. Okay, and in here, somebody has invented a self-cleaning fish tank.
Oh, jeez.
So I haven't watched the video, but I'll put a link to the site. But I thought, wow, Very cool. And then somebody else invented, Virgin Atlantic is trying to get a 747 retrofitted to be able to launch satellites into space inexpensively. That's about. Fish tank is here, and then some kid converted a drone to a flamethrower.
I saw that.
Yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh boy. Frank and I could have used one of those last week, which leads into our next story here in a minute. Apple Watch now is going to be able to control your GoPro camera, start and stop, edit even, right? So I suspect that ISIS terrorists will now have Apple Watches for their GoPros whilst they attack the United States.
Ooh.
Well, tongue in cheek there a little bit, but maybe not so much, So I'm going to get back over here so we can all see each other here. I'll stop sharing and get over here, which I'll do a little lead in, and then we'll head into the twin. Frank and I were in the terrorist sphere of influence last December 2nd, last week. We're going to tell that story on the other side of the entrepreneur section. But so those got to stay tuned to hear about what Frank and I experienced during the terrorist event. Yeah. There you go.
We were there.
We were there. Boy, were we there. We got quite the story to tell about that. And I think with that, I believe.
Oh, music.
Haven't heard that for a month. Haven't heard that in a month, huh?
Yes, love it. This is right, it's time for the twin. This week in the news, headlines and lessons we can get from this week in the news. Now, normally, I do research and I pick out something where someone has a hurdle that they have to overcome and how they overcome it, and there's lessons there. This week, I did something different. I didn't do any research. I lived it. I lived this experience, and it wasn't the one that Peter and I are going to talk about, San Bernardino, where we were last week. It's one where I lived about 4 weeks ago. My wife and I traveled to Boston to visit my family, my kids and my family. And I flew at least twice a week for 14 straight years. But I have not flown up until 4 weeks ago for about 5 or 6 years. So, and things have changed. When you're a frequent flyer, you get your upgrades to first class automatically, and that's the way we were, to quote Barbra Streisand. Boy, have things changed. I flew from Palm Springs to San Francisco to Boston, and then did the reverse coming back. And I went where I said, well, I wonder if I can make a twin out of this trip. And I said, well, how the hell are you going to do that? I mean, United Airlines, I assume billion-dollar corporation compared to Johnny solopreneur. But son of a gun, I found 3 lessons. And it was 3 lessons based on my travels. Okay? So I'll share these with you. The first one was before I boarded the flight. I had to make my reservation. Boy, again, it's just as easy as maybe a little. We had a travel agency before. Now we do it all online. It was really, really easy to buy. You click, you pick your cities, you pick your flights, you do all these other things. They give you the price, they give you all things, and it was really, really easy to buy. And I'm saying, how many times do we add obstacles for small business owners that slow down the buying process? And I've heard many of the people that I work with or people that I've heard about, and they say, well, I've got to get all this information before I can draw up a contract. No, you don't. Get them to commit to you and then add the details later with the charges. Once they've signed a paper or they've given you their credit card or they've written you a check, they're more likely to stick with you as opposed to you saying, well, let's do it. And I did this a lot when I was in the software business. We've got to do a 2-week study in order to lay out all the details so we can give you a comprehensive contract. What the hell is that all about? Okay. Meanwhile, it's 2 weeks where a guy or gal was ready to sign, and they did, And we delayed it for 2 weeks. Now, we didn't charge them because we thought we were giving them a service. No, we weren't. We were trying to figure out how much more we could charge them over our price. So you've got to make it easy to buy, upgrade later. Lesson number 2. Once I signed or once I booked my flight with United Airlines, the moment I said book with my credit card, oh, thank you for booking. Would you like more legroom? Another $35? I got the upsell. I'm saying, son of a gun. I'm already committed. I've given them my credit card. I had not left the page. The pop-up came in and says, hey, we think you'd like 3 more inches or 4 more inches of legroom for $35 per person. Well, I didn't want to do it because I guess I'm cheap. But I got the upsell push. I'm saying, another lesson. Once they've already bought from you, all you can do is ask. And if they say no, they say no. Upsell. And when I checked in, they wanted me to upsell. When I checked my baggage, every time I contacted them, they said, hey, we noticed you haven't bought the extra inches of legroom. Would you like to buy? We have 2 more seats left with the extra legroom. Would you like? They use a scarcity routine on me. And I'm saying, very, very clever. Lesson number 3. And it wasn't because I was upgraded. Even when I flew coach, we got peanuts, we got cookies, we got snacks, along with our soft drinks, our coffee, and our water. Depending on the length of the flight, we got a meal. Better in first class than economy, but you got something to eat whether you like. And you can even select a vegetarian meal, which at the time I was vegetarian. Son of a gun. They offered meals, but you had to pay for them. There were no more freebie meals. No more freebie meals. Small business lesson is, and we talked about that before the show, and small business owners do this more than corporations, I believe. We always try to, we throw in stuff because we think it's good customer service, and I'm sure it is, but every time you throw in stuff as $1 you're not collecting. My small business lesson for that is charge for extras. They knew what they were buying, and if they ask you and you give it to them for free, why wouldn't they ask for another thing for free? Because you've already set the criteria. But lesson number 4 is the big one. Okay. So that was on the way going to Boston. We come back, and we're all sitting there at Logan Airport in Boston on a Saturday morning, and the plane was overbooked because they were offering discounts or credit slips, $200 if you gave up your seat. And I'm saying, I said to my wife, I am so glad we got our seat, man. We got our seats reserved. I got the seats ahead of time and everything. We're in such great shape. This is going to be a wonderful flight because I knew there were no more freebies and I didn't buy. So anyway, I said, problem-free flight. And then 10 minutes before we board, the girl, and it was a lady, gets on the intercom. And she says, we have to tell you what's going on. She said, one of the 2 bathrooms in coach, which I was flying, does not work. And it'll take us too long to fix it. We suggest you all go to the restroom now because we're going to take off with only 1 bathroom in coach. Now the plane is overbooked, so every seat is filled. And somebody said, well, why don't you have it fixed? He says, no, because we don't want to delay our flight because there's connection flights and so forth. And I'm saying, wow. Isn't that interesting? Here's the lesson. And I am the biggest offender of this lesson. United Airlines had 2 choices. Wait until the plane was perfect before they took off, or just launch that plane and take off. Too many times, small business owners wait until everything is perfect to launch their business, launch their website, launch their new product, because it's got to be perfect. And if it's good enough, get it launched and fix it later. Again, was there a long line? You're damn right there was a long line. But I was glad they took off because we made our connecting flights from San Francisco back to Palm Springs, and we get home when we expected to go home. So lesson number 4 is just do it. If you wait till it's perfect, you'll wait forever because it will never be perfect. Will it be better? Yes. But if it's good enough now, get it out there, get it launched, take off from Logan, get to your destination, and then when they get to San Francisco, they fix the toilet and then went on to the next flight. So the lessons make it easy to buy. There are no freebies. Charge for extras, and just do it, baby, to quote Nike. And that's my twin for this week.
Very cool. Dick, any comments?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I muted myself with all the background noise here. Yeah, I absolutely experienced that. I used to fly every week, and the changes are unbelievable. And what Frank says is true. That's how they operate now as they do it. I think they have one advantage that maybe a lot of people don't have is this, the competition has gotten so slim by acquisition, and they cut back the flights so much. If you want to go from Palm Springs to Connecticut, you got to pick one of them, and they're all pretty much the same nowadays. But they've got it down. I booked online like Frank did, and I did all those things and got the upsells and everything. So yeah, flying is a much different experience now than it was 15 years ago. That's for sure.
Sure as hell is, yeah. There it is.
Interesting. Well, they've come full circle, and they're probably going to go back to full circle, Frank. People are bitching because you have to pay for a blanket or a pillow, or they're just nickel and diming you to death. Next thing, they're going to charge for air to breathe. It's like,
Yeah.
what can they charge you for? And I think that, in my opinion, that's hostile. One fee buys it all. I mean, I guess I'm old school from that standpoint. It's just like I do websites. One fee gets everything. So it's like, I could charge for extra words and extra this, and that's what a lot of people do. They have in fact mimicked this charge you for everything left and right. And unfortunately, Frank, what it creates is a customer, when I tell them, it's $200 a page, period. Well, you're going to charge me for something like logos. You're going to charge me for this. No, I'm not. And so they get wary, very wary of a good deal, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, yeah. Well, when I was working, I mean, I flew American Airlines, almost all the time, and I ended up with, like, I forget, 3 or 4 million miles with American Airlines, and I had their elite status, and they've allowed me to keep that. Once you hit a certain amount, you'll keep it. So I'm loyal to American Airlines because I still don't have to pay for bags, and a few of the other things that they're charging for, I don't have to pay for. But what they're not doing is creating loyalty, because when you went on your website, you say, okay, what's the best flight? What's the best price? I'm going to get upcharged for everything anyway. So they're not creating loyalty. Like, I know they still have their mileage rewards programs, but they've even restricted those quite a bit. Where I'm still loyal to American because it suits me. If I didn't have that, I'd say I don't care who I fly. So that's the only problem.
I agree. I believe they've overstepped what they should charge for, but that's because I was used to all those years of getting the stuff that I used to get. Maybe the new flyers think that's just the new normal. But the one lesson I wanted to emphasize is the broken toilet. I mean, I know a guy, no names mentioned, who had a great website ready to launch, and he didn't launch it because the font wasn't right on the bottom of the page. And he wanted to fix the font. I'm saying, what? Just launch it.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, it was you.
It wasn't me.
It was you.
Well, that font wasn't right. Well,
your font was a broken toilet. Just live with it. Anyway, okay.
It wasn't right. Anyway, now you made me lose my train of thought here on this one. Oh, I was going to say my business partner, Anthony Simpson, engineering partner, we always had a term that good was good enough. You don't have to be excellent. You just have to be good is good enough, and get it out there, and we'll fix the rest of it. Software companies do that all the time. You buy a software, and Frank, you're very familiar with this. The software is bugs. It's got bugs all over it, right? And they still sell it. And then they do all the bug fixing along the way.
The rule we had the rule we had in the software business that I was with, that I had, and at one time, you never sold what you had. Never. That's all you could demo, but you always sold the next release. And it's amazing how good that next release was.
Oh
Because
yeah.
it was always next release. You always sold the next release, but you prepared them to accept the current release. That's what we did.
But
That's
you know
exactly.
who can't do that, and we would never tolerate it. Automobile companies.
Mm-hmm.
If you sold a car that was 90% working, but the 10% wasn't, the customer base would come unglued.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this rule of getting it out good is good enough, it's selective in its industry.
Okay. I agree.
But
I
I
agree.
mean, you buy a gun, you want a gun to work each and every time, not 90% of the time.
Parachute companies cannot do this.
Exactly. Specifically, the backup parachute company can't do that. It's got to open each and every time.
You got it.
No question. At least your backup has to be 100%, 4 nines of purity,
You got it.
So there. All right, Dick, you want to talk a little entrepreneurialism?
Yeah, I do. And, as I've been back here in Connecticut for, almost 2 months now, and operating out of the underground bunker here. And I've been really trying to, set up, 2016 for my business, as well as trying to do some business back here. And so I got a couple things, that I want to talk about. First one is, I was on a call, listening to a conference call with a gentleman who was the top of my upline at Legal Shield, Brian Carruthers, and he said something that really has stuck with me. And I talked to Peter, it was just a couple of weeks ago, Peter. He says, I don't want to hear anybody saying they're going to try and do something. He said, when you say you're going to try, that gives you an excuse for not doing it. You're going to say, I am going to do this. And he says you'd be amazed what the difference of those words mean. And and words matter. Frank Luntz wrote a book on it. Words matter. So with that in mind, I started to think, of next year's plans of what I am going to do. And when I was talking to Peter was saying, he likes to talk about create a culture of accomplishments, not a culture of hope, which is the same concept with different words. So, I figured I'm approaching the things. You won't hear me say, okay, I'll try and do that. If I say I'm going to do it, I will do that. So it's kind of changed. It's a little different in the mindset. So I was listening to a Tony Robbins video, and he started talking about VAM, value-added marketing. And he quoted a stat that says that 15 years ago, you used to take 4 exposures to your prospective clients to have a chance of them looking at it and maybe buying or following up on it. Now, I remember talking about this a year or so ago, saying it was 5 or 6 times that most people will stop after the 4th try, and if they went the 5th try, they would have had some better opportunity to succeed. What he's saying now is that 4 exposures is now 16 exposures, which it kind of blew my mind. I said, holy mackerel, 16 exposures, how the hell you do that? And he said, it is because of social network, social marketing, Facebook marketing, all of the different ones, that there's so much of it going on that pure advertising really doesn't work anymore. He said, he brought up the example of banner ads on phones and stuff. He says, he was talking to a group of people. So how many of you people read the banner ads on your phone? And I think, I don't read them. I don't read them on a computer. I don't read them anywhere. He said, so you're wasting your money. He said, so when you're going to develop a marketing program, one, he says you have to add value, which I think we have talked about to the person, and you have to look like an expert to that person. And I know, Frank, I think you've talked about that too. That when you're talking, you have to come across as the expert. So I think Peter's going to show a simple booklet I put together based upon Peter doing and teaching me. But which has me thinking, and really which has me baffled, is okay. Suppose it's not 16 exposures. Suppose it's 8 exposures or 7 exposures. How are you going to approach that person 7 times with 7 different approaches. There are 7 different things for them to look at, and add value and become an expert. And that's really what, I don't have that answer, to be very honest with you.
I do.
Okay, well, I can't wait to hear it. But as I'm working on my 2016 business plan, and another thing, the guys, a different person on on forecasting those because of the 90-day year. I won't get into that, but I'm using that technique, and it seems to be working. Is how can I do this? I think Peter showed the website. I think is really great. I've created a bunch of these booklets for different parts of my business. One, now I have to find people to send it to that want to see it, and then I have to find out, okay, you're going to do it 8 times. What are you going to send them 8 times? The same thing, different things. And then this morning on Facebook, I was listening to this guy saying that when you're marketing on Facebook, never ever put your link there. He says once you've done that, you lost them, because they can look at the link and then they can decide whether they want you. He says, so don't ever give them access to your presentation until you can talk to them. So I guess the whole purpose this morning is I have some tools, I have some objectives. I don't have a single clue how to do them. That's why I throw that out for discussion. So that's it.
Okay, I have answers for those. I was just looking on your site, and I thought we had done that. One thing you have never done, which is what you need to do, is to start harvesting emails and creating a list of people who are quasi-interested in your product, whether it be for their own, like myself, for contracts, things like that, or people who want to start a small business, okay, and or HR people. So what we need to do is to go over to Google Forms and create that form that we put on the website, Dick, and get that on the sidebar so that we can start to harvest names. I've got 600-700 names off of the Defender list over all these years using Aweber. That's the type of list that you send your value-added messages out to.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the answer to that. And Frank, we ought to be doing the same thing over on your site. Not unlike we do at the Coachella Valley Mastermind. Let me see if I can get that up to show. Give me 2 seconds, guys. And we use that free Google Forms to build our list for people who are coming to, let me see here, our team, testimonials, get in touch. Let me see, where's our next event here? This is it right here. Yeah, either one of these two. Let me share the screen here. Back over here, and share screens. And right here. Okay, let me know when you got my screen.
Got it.
Got it.
This form here, which is also on our sidebar, allows people to, we created it so they can sign up, but we also get a chance to see what their big problems are. And this is submitted, and once this is submitted over on my Google Docs, an Excel spreadsheet is created automatically by Google that every time somebody signs in, we see all this data in one line, in one row of the Excel spreadsheet. So this is the kind of form that we need to create for you guys to start harvesting names of people who are interested in your product. It's a poor man's Aweber approach, but it'll work. Okay, and Aweber, what's nice about Aweber is, of course, you can have up to 12. Well, you can have as many as you want, but by intervals. So when they first sign up, they get an email from you that you've already crafted at Aweber, and then say 2 weeks later they get another one, but you've already crafted, and it's all done automatically. You don't have to do anything. It's fly by wire. But this is the kind of thing that we got to do, Dick, to get that book and the booklet thing. And let me get over to the booklet, which is right here. And these booklets are really, really clever in the sake that they are truly look like full multimedia, and they carry video as well as everything else. And does this one have a video in it, Dick? Yeah, here it is right
Right here,
there.
yeah.
And then Dick found out how we size that properly. And then down at the bottom, you can email, you can call, you can share it, go to the website, automatic buttons. Just this is a slick presentation. And you can email this literally to anybody in your contact list, or in our case, Dick, if there is anybody that is quasi interested, and you probably have their business cards laying at home in your
Yeah.
other above ground bunker,
Yeah.
and you should be sending creating a list
Yeah.
and sending these booklets out to them.
Right.
And then if you start romancing HR companies again off the Reference USA, you can certainly be sending these to them, and it tells a much better story than an email would ever tell,
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
And Dick is now the booklet king. He's made more booklets than all the three of us put together, or the other two of us put together. You are the booklet king. This is number 6 for you, right?
Yeah, I've had the sixth one. I'm going to finish this week. It's for existing members to make sure they understand the benefit of their membership is obviously access to the law firm, but there are many other ways that card is beneficial to them, and absolutely makes their membership. It covers more than their membership on an annual basis, so they're really getting all this service and access to attorneys
and
for nothing.
discounts and
For
product
nothing.
discounts, service
Yeah.
discounts.
Yeah.
They
That type of thing. Yeah.
exactly. And the other thing that we need to start next year is a monthly podcast of your downline.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can all get on and talk about building our business underneath you, that kind of a
Right.
thing.
Right.
That would be very helpful and whatnot. But Frank, we need to probably do a booklet like this and get it up on your site. Of your stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we have the Coachella Valley Mastermind one and I intend to send it out. Yeah, that's what I want. Simple booklet.com. Let me share that in a minute here. Let me log in. And let me see. I got to stop sharing briefly so I can log in. Okay.
While you're doing that, Peter, just to summarize what I was thinking is, words really do matter, and I have a, I have a much different. I have a will do list of 3 or 4 things that I will do in 2016, and I'm going to, obviously follow the lead that you've have shown me and some of the tools we did, but there's a lot of different ways I have learned to get at a prospective client, and I have to pick the ways that are best for me. But
sure,
the change in advertising has been amazing with social network. So that's it for me.
Yeah, and then this is our Coachella Valley Mastermind booklet. Here's the first page, and I've got sliders in here to talk about what I talk about, and there's one in here. I think Frank is thinking outside the box, but you can see how nice that is. In the sake of what it is we're going to do. Here's Gordon Kelly's business plan, and then the entrepreneur side of Dick right here, and whatnot. And then it's all free and what you're going to get, and of course I put this in here because Gordon hates this. This is a very popular, what they call a keyword or tag cluster. Tag cloud is what they call this, and there's a script and like an app that on your website actually determines who clicks on which tags on your podcast or your blog post more, and it gives a larger font for the ones that people are looking at, and littler ones for the ones that they're not. So, and then you can contact us, and and be done with it. And we can email it, phone us, share it, or make a reservation even for our next event. So that's just pretty clever altogether, I think, between the combination of those things. And I have to see if I got the booklet up here, and upcoming events. And I gotta spend some time now that we've got the 27th of January ready to rock and roll. And you can see this particular format is very similar to our Parallax one. It's a different theme. It's called Rift, I think. Rift, but it's different, but close. Same idea. One page website to get a real good idea of what's going on. So there's that. And I guess next up on the deck is us talking on our adventure, huh, Frank?
Start it off.
All right. So I had a surgery appointment at the VA hospital, and I always have a driver take me back because I'm not always in the best shape to drive back, and Dick was back east in his underground bunker. Usually accompanies me over there, so Frank volunteered, and I was excited to obviously have Frank share the event at the VA hospital. If nobody's ever been to one of the biggest things, it's just a big shocker, is all the vets that are sitting in waiting rooms all talking to each other, trying to help each other. It was incredible. You go to a hospital, nobody talks to anybody. You just sit there in silence. But these vets are great. They're all trying to help each other. Pretty amazing. Well, Frank, why don't you chime in on that part? That was...
Yes, yeah. It's my first time I had been there, and we were on the third floor of the VA hospital in a waiting room, and obviously we were not alone. But there was a camaraderie, and I thought they were all best friends. I said, "Wow, all these best friends had the appointment on the same day at the same time," and they weren't. They had, the common bond was that they were veterans who had served their country. Some were in wheelchairs, some needed caregivers. Some walked a little bit slower than others, but they all had something. They had that bond with each other, and they all, I don't want to over exaggerate it, but they all cared for each other. And one guy brought his grandson, and his grandson was there with his granddad. And that's after you went into the room, Peter. And I looked at the kid's expression, and he was a nice kid, and he obviously very proud of his granddad. It was more than I expected to see in terms of camaraderie.
Yeah, it's just amazing. So Frank's driving, and I'm riding shotgun, and we're going down the freeway, and all of a sudden Frank's moving to the right, and man, cop cars after cop car, groups of cop cars, police cars of every make and model going past us and forcing us over, and I'm thinking, wow, where are they going? Right? Frank and I just talk. We just keep going.
Yeah.
We come off on Mountain View, and I look to the left, and there's a stream of traffic, bumper to bumper, almost all the way up the street. We're going the opposite direction. Almost nobody's going our way. Everybody's trying to get out of town. We're going into town. And again, I was like, well, that's really odd, but whatever. I'm thinking, I hope that whole line is gone by the time we get done. And we get to the hospital. We find a place to park, which again was a kind of an amazing event. Can never find a place to park. We just drove right into one. We get out, and we're walking up towards the emergency room entryway, and this guy stops us and says, "We're in lockdown. You have to use the main entrance." Okay, whatever. So we're walking along, and Frank says, and Frank's never been in the military or the police, and he goes, "Isn't that like a military or police term, lockdown?" I go, "Yeah, it is, and I don't know why they're in lockdown, but whatever." And we get to the lobby. I have not seen so many people in that lobby ever. I mean, it was like standing crowd. And I told Frank to get in behind me, follow me, don't lose me, get on my six, let's go. And we wander our way through that. We get up to the clinic, we check in, sit down, and within minutes, this doctor comes out. And he throws his hands open to both Frank and I. We're sitting in the front row kind of thing. He goes, "We're in total lockdown. We can't get in and we can't get out." And he's staring at us like, "We're going to fix that? What the hell's he talking about?" And off he goes. I mean, he was really freaked out. And then I couldn't get any cell service. Frank had cell service, so we watched the terrorist event go down, which is several blocks away. And that's why we're in lockdown, because of the terrorists shot up San Bernardino where we're at. So anyway, they call me in. I get into the doctor's office, and I'm going to be opportunistic here, because if they can't get in the hospital, then she doesn't have any more clients. So we can do a whole lot more stuff than we had planned. Can you look at this? Can you do this? And I'm telling the doctor, I said, you're not going to have any more clients this afternoon, so I'm it. Lucky you. Let's do this. Let's look at that. Can you see this? Can you do? And she goes, I'm not going to have any more clients. I said, well, not if we're in lockdown. You're not. She goes, I haven't heard. So she opens the door and goes out, and out on the hallway right there with some other veterans talking about the lockdown. And I said, hey guys, we need to formulate a plan to defend the hospital. And I said, I don't know why they haven't evacuated the first floor and disabled the elevators, and then force terrorists into a stairwell, which is a choke point, and we can take them at that point. Oh yeah. I said, you guys got liquid nitrogen here? Which I know they do. Yes. Get those dewars, they're called dewars, get those dewars ready to rock and roll. Well, what do you do with that? Well, you throw it on them, particularly their eyes, smack their eyes, they break out like marbles. They can't see anything. Done deal. Okay. Do you have IV poles? Yes, they make great bow staffs. And so I'm starting to get them to think like weapons of opportunity. Now you think about it, they were all ready to figure out how to defend the hospital and attack the terrorists, not run away. It would have been the biggest mistake for the terrorists to attack a VA facility. People with wheelchairs would be rolling at them, and people would try. I mean, these are guys that are trained to run towards the bullets, not away from them. And so the doctor comes back in. She's white as a sheet. She's freaked out, and so I get a lot of procedures done, and then I can actually see we're at the third floor. I can see the I-10 out there is now moving again where it wasn't. It was dead still there for a while, or very compacted anyway. They had it shut down, one exit down, and so I thought, okay, we can get out of here. And I'm watching, and nobody's leaving. So when I get done, I tell Frank, come on, we're leaving. Just follow me. So strategically what I had to do is there was a set of cops outside the door, and as soon as they engaged somebody was coming up and got in an argument, out we went. I said, Frank, don't stop. We got to walk with purpose. Don't look back. Don't stop. We're walking out of here. Which is exactly what we did, got in the car and came home.
That's true.
So what do you think of all that, Frank?
Well, I was, again, after you went in, I had cell service. My wife is about an hour and a half, hour and 3/4 away where we live. And she's texting me, oh, I just heard, are you okay? And I said, yeah, we're a few blocks away. I said, we're at the VA hospital. I said, then I said two things. One I knew I was going to say, and one it hit me was I was texting her. I said, number one, we're on the third floor. I was three things. Number one, we're on the third floor, so they have to get to us up on the third floor. Number two, we're surrounded by police officers and security people. And then the third thing hit me as I was texting her. And I says, plus, I'm surrounded by veterans. I said, I can't be in a safer place. I'm in the safest place in this whole area because on the third floor, surrounded by security and police people, and I'm surrounded by veterans. I said, I'm okay. And that's how I felt, Peter. I felt quite comfortable and quite safe up on the third floor.
Yeah, I think, well, it was heartfelt to see other veterans planning a stand,
Yeah.
And not trying to run away. And it was actually, I got the sense that we would battle each other to be in the front line, to get a position in the front of the line.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty unique to be caught up in that whole mess. And for those who didn't follow it that closely, between the initial terrorist shooting and them getting shot up, there were 4 hours, and they obviously were planning another attack because they wore masks. You don't wear masks if you're planning to commit suicide.
Right.
So it's very clear that and we were 2 blocks away basically, and where better for them to think about attacking than a veterans, than to hit veterans. But that would be their largest single mistake they would ever make. So interesting day. Dick, what did you think about all of that when we told you?
Well, it's funny because it's not funny with the terrorist attack, because we heard, my wife heard it, and I hadn't. I was out, and I come in, and And she told me that, and I said, "Oh, Jesus, Peter and Frank are around the corner from that." And then I think I text you, and you must be you got a couple texts out. You told me was you're on lockdown and all that, and I not being there, but I said similar things to my wife. I said, they probably couldn't be in a safer place because it's really well guarded, and you got a hospital full of guys who have fought for this country. They're not going to go in there, and if they do, they're going to get defeated very quickly. So, but it's just I think of our trips in there, Peter, and it seems like each one of them have a little bit of a different twist. But this was the most bizarre one going. So,
Yeah.
but,
Well, they wouldn't do my
yeah,
surgery because of the lockdown situation,
yeah,
so that'll get
yeah.
rescheduled. But what an adventure, huh, Frank? And you didn't have
It,
any idea what you're getting into.
no, I did, and interesting because I picked you up at 11 o'clock. We left your place at 11 o'clock, which is when the shooting started. But we didn't have the radio on. We had
Right.
no idea where we were going. I mean, we knew where we were going. We didn't know what we were going to face when we got there because we talked all the way. We didn't have
Right.
anybody on radio. So and then when we saw the traffic going away from the hospital, and then when we saw the parking lot wasn't over, as you said,
Yeah.
oh, you
Right.
have to drop me off and go
Oh,
3 blocks. There was not. I said, well, we found a space. Here it is. There were 2 or 3 spaces open. And then when we walked in, we still didn't know what was going on. Talk about
Right.
the ignorant, the blind. And then it's only when we got to the 3rd floor that because they had a TV on in the waiting room, but they had TV land. They had
Right. Which they
Andy,
always do.
yeah,
right?
that's
Yeah,
always,
it wasn't a news to show you that the news was.
No.
They had old reruns of black and white TV
yeah.
shows. And I said,
It was
isn't that
Bonanza. I
interesting?
think they had Bonanza on, Gunsmoke, something like
Right,
that.
Gunsmoke.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was a
Yeah.
cowboy show. And so we still didn't know what was going on until that doctor came out and said, "Whoa."
And he was funny too. He threw his hands out, right? We're in total lockdown. Can't get in, can't get out. And he just stood there looking at us like we could fix it. That was the thing that boggled my mind, is
Right.
that what the
Right.
hell are you standing here telling us that for? And he was freaked. Remember, he ran out.
Yeah.
He ran stage right. I don't know where he was running to, but he was booking.
Yeah, that parking lot should have been the first tip. Last time
I
went,
know it.
I took Cy in, who's our DAV commander, 94-year-old World War II vet, and I dropped him off, and it took me 25 minutes to find a parking spot, and I finally just had to go sit in the corner and wait for somebody to leave. So that should have been the first tip. So, but it's always something, Frank. I went in one time with Peter. I think his appointment was at 11 o'clock or 12, what it was, and supposed to be a quick 1-hour procedure. Well, at 5:30, I'm sitting in the waiting room. I finally found a doctor. He said, "Can you tell me if my friend's okay in there?" He's in there for 4.5 hours. There's always something in that waiting room. Did you
Yeah.
get? One of the things that I found interesting going there and with Peter is sitting in the waiting room and listening and talking to the vets in there. They're a remarkable group of people. They really are. They just they think what they've done for our country, and there's a camaraderie there that it doesn't matter what service or whatever, but you're one of them. So that's really quite a place.
Yeah, there's a bond that
Mhm.
that exists, and
Mhm.
obviously I don't have that bond because I didn't serve in the army in the armed forces, but you could tell it was there, and it's a bond that can't be broken.
No.
It's very very very. I'll tell you, it was heartwarming. It was
Mm.
heartwarming.
Yeah.
And most of the doctors that the service us, they do treat us very, very well. Typically, they honor us quite a bit. It's not your standard doctor-patient relationship. They
Yeah.
they do really try, at least at that facility.
Yeah.
They do really try. Are they perfect? Of course not. But they are certainly very cordial to you and friendly and honor you for the service that you've given to our great country. And I don't know if you know this, guys, but less than 3% of our nation serves.
I didn't realize that was a figure. No.
Yeah, 3%.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a low number in comparison to the rest of the population. So that bond becomes even more and more special, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right, guys, anything else?
That's it.
All
No, I
right. Well,
think we covered it.
say goodnight, Dick.
Good night, Dick.
Say goodnight, Frank.
Good night, Dick.
All right, hang on, guys.